everybody. I'm Farah Ahmed with the Fort Bend Voters League. We're a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization. Really excited about doing voter engagement. And so we have these forums, sometimes in person, but we've really enjoyed these Zoom candidate conversations. And I'm here with Sue Howenstein. And we focus on different elections and different races. And today we're focusing on the Sugar Land City Council, District 1. Election that's just right around the corner, and I'll hand it over to Sue to get us going.
Thanks, Farah. Just by way of introduction, my name again is Sue Howenstein. Farah and I, along with several friends from both political parties, started the nonpartisan Fort Bend Voters League. It was well over a decade ago. We've been around a long time. And I also started Fort Bend Can about 8 years ago with a group of friends. So for about 30 years, I've been a volunteer in Fort Bend County, and my greatest interest is in informing and educating the vote. As I share that interest with Farah, we want to educate and inform the voters on issues and candidates. We want to get people out to vote. And of course, we're both interested in voting for the best people. We want good government. So today, I'm going to start by asking Suzanne. This is a really easy one, Suzanne. In fact, most of these will be easy, but very informal. Take a few minutes to introduce yourself, okay, and tell us whatever you want us to know about you.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. First of all, thank you, Farah. Thank you, Sue, for having me here. And thank you for what you do in our community. I think it's very important that our voters have an opportunity to meet candidates, ask questions, and learn about who they're voting for. Because when it comes down to it, like you said, Sue, we have to have good governance. And that especially at the local level. We need to have people that we can engage with and work in our community. I have been here for 27 years in Sugar Land. I grew up just down the road in El Campo. I'm a rice bird. But this has been my home. I have had a small business in this community for over 20, well, it'll be 20 years next year. My husband's had a small business. I've got 5 kids, 6 grandkids. And you can read anything about me on my website. But most of you know me because I volunteered in our community. And the backbone of my service comes from the nonprofit world. I didn't start in governance and go into this position. I started in nonprofits and community service. I'm here because Brad and I felt together that my service from the nonprofit community was best met in this position after serving so many different I'd say areas. I worked for Meals on Wheels. We worked with senior service, delivering meals. I worked at Mamie George in the food pantry. So we saw a lot of need in our community. And the best way I think for me to serve at this point is to really be the voice of the people I'm used to serving. So here I am. I lost you, Sue.
Sue was on mute.
Keep it unmuted. Sorry. We're glad you're with us. I would like to know, you have had a couple of years in office, but what are your top priorities, just so that everyone is clear what your top priorities are for this particular term?
Thank you. That's important to know. And, when I get this, I'm sorry, I'm looking everywhere because one of the things I need people to understand is I have things that I bring to the table as a council member, and those things, small business, the benefits and the welfare of our community, because that's where I come from, community service. I bring those things to the table because that's who I am. But my top priorities are in conjunction with the rest of council. I can say I have small business at the top. I can say I have public service or public safety. Those things matter to me very much, but if they don't matter to the rest of my council, they're not going to be a top priority for the city. So I will bring those things that matter, but we work together. This city has come together with this council in the last 3 years, and we have hashed out I say hash out because it's not an easy conversation. We take days at a time to come up with our priorities. And right now there's public safety. We have to be the safest city in this possible. And we are. Number 2, we have to make sure we have good infrastructure. Our city is at an age where infrastructure is very important. Infrastructure is good. Small business economic development. We have to make sure that we have something to sustain us and be successful as a city. Ad valorem tax isn't going to do it, and we don't want to raise your taxes to make us successful and sustainable as a city. So we have to look at economic development. Those are 3 of our top ones. There are many more. And yeah, I think I sent in my statement to you, my top priority, because I'm a council member for a district, is my constituents. So while we're talking about the city as a whole, my phone, it just rang, and it was a constituent, sorry, is to take care of those people that call me on a daily basis. So some days, like today or yesterday, it's a crosswalk right across the street from me that we're going to put in. And I'm very excited that we're going to have a safer crossing for our pedestrians. But that was brought to me by my community. So I advocate for those small things, whether it's a street lamp or a crosswalk, trees cut, speeding. Those are my top priorities as a council member because I can affect those for my constituents. But again, we work together as a council to come up with the big ones. I hope that helps.
Yeah, I wanted to add in like, you're an incumbent, and how many years have you served so far?
Well, 3. This 3 years. It's a 3-year term. Now I served on planning and zoning for 2 terms before
Okay,
that.
so I think the idea is like, why are you running again? What are some of the issues that you feel that you need to attend to, and that's maybe why you're running? And the other thing is, on the issues, is there any way you can narrow down those issues to what are the issues for that District 1, particularly in that area that you see as challenging or of concern?
That's a great question, because I was asked that the other night, and I go, they asked me why I'm running again, because this is not a simple job. And both of you know that, because once you get here, like, we're going to do this again. Yes, we're going to do this again. And the main reason that I sum this up, because I love what I do and I love serving. Yes, that goes without saying. You shouldn't be here if you don't love serving. But what's really important as an incumbent is all the traction you have going with your council members, with your constituents. And last night, or a couple nights ago, I said I had 17 items in the hopper. You know, I have all these issues that we are working on in a district with my constituents. And that's, like I talked about, the small things, the road things, road signs, zoning issues that are small within my district, not to mention what you just said, the bigger projects. You know, we have Imperial, you know, we have Lake Point, we know we have Track 5 coming, we have zoning changes, and those are imperative. We've done so much work as a council and with staff to get where we are today, that we have to have consistency. We have to have a consistent group of people working together. Can you bring someone in midstream and replace a council member? Well, that's a legal system. Yes, we can, and we will. And I will tell you, if I'm not here tomorrow, our council is so good, they will work with whoever replaces me. We're not that kind of council. We'll do the right thing. But this consistency that we have right now, the traction we have going worked on, this is 2.5 years of work bringing me up to speed. Listen, I just told you I served as a commissioner for 2 terms, and I thought I knew what I was doing. Don't laugh, Farah. You know, it's true. It takes time to learn this job. And I think I just got my feet on the ground maybe 1.5 years ago. And I'm saying I've got still more to learn. So once you learn these things, once you get your feet on the ground and start being able to really understand governance and how it works, you start putting things together with your council and making really sound, responsible decisions. How do you bring what your constituents are saying and they want to the table, and really learn how to fight for it? You know, in the beginning, I had no idea how to advocate. I didn't. I would get on dais and I would just like, yes or no vote. But now I can say why I'm voting yes, why I'm voting no, who's behind me, and who's my voice. It's not my voice, it's theirs. So when I'm told I want X number of apartments at this place and that's where I draw my line, I draw it. I don't have a problem doing it because I know what I'm doing and I know why. And that's respected through my community and other members on council. It takes time to get here. It takes time to learn the process. To disrupt that process and change it in the middle of all of this transition we have going on in our city right now. And we have a lot, you know that. It's just not the best idea.
So I have you brought something up. It's, you know, again, we know I'm talking about people that don't know. there is a process for bringing concerns to council. Could you please just lay that out for the people that are watching? Because I think most people don't understand that there is a process. You don't just, I mean, you can call and bring it to someone's attention, but there's a process behind what you have to do.
That's a great question because, and honestly, I've learned so much by being here because I thought, okay, I have an agenda. I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to take it to council. I'm going to change things. No, you don't run on agendas and change things. You don't have single issues that make differences. I know we all live in a world where we say, oh, I'm gonna make a difference. I'm one person. You have ideas and you take those to staff. We have an incredible staff and our staff is knowledgeable. They're trained. They know what they're doing. I know what I do, but I don't do what staff does. We have people who are in traffic control. We have people in infrastructure. We have people in public safety, and we have people in planning. They put the time in to know how to address the issues, but we can say, hey, I have a constituent, and I will, this is an example, right out here on Creek Bend, Lake Point. I'm sitting here, my window's right here, and we see near accidents all the time. We can't change the speed limit, but we do know this crossing is really, really at risk for pedestrians. They came to me and they said, hey, what can we do about making this safer? And we had meeting after meeting, and I got engineering here, traffic control, and we had Brian Butcher, who is in charge of public works. We had a meeting on this area to watch the traffic and realize we do need some changes. We're going to pass an ordinance and we're going to make those changes in about a couple of weeks because they're going to come to fruition. Texas Department of Public Safety and change that school zone. But interestingly enough, that is an elementary school and nobody drives to it. So it didn't make sense in the beginning, but when we realized children were crossing that road, it made sense. So we made those changes. Here's the deal. None of your council members go out there and say, I see something wrong, or, you know, people have got to tell us what they see so we know what to do for them.
Well, I love your explanation because I think most people don't understand, and it drives me crazy when I hear an elected official say, I'm responsible, I did this. You can bring it to the attention of the people who can do something about it, but truthfully, you're only 1/5 of the vote. Well, I guess it's 1/7. Yeah, so there are 7 people, so 1/7 of one vote. And so I really appreciate the way you laid this out because you can bring attention to it, to a problem or an issue or a challenge, but it takes the team in order to get things done. So
Exactly.
that was a good explanation, I think. I've got one more, Farah. You mentioned track 5 coming. And I'm not trying to tie, I really am not trying to tie you down to anything. I understand how it works, but we've been hearing that for a decade. I mean, over a decade. So I'm just wondering if you have any kind of timeline for what's going to happen. Not what's going, I understand you can't tell me this is going to happen, but what is the timeline on that?
That's a good question. And you have every right to know. I'm going to tell you what I know. And to be honest, we don't know ahead of you, really. Track 5 is on hold. And I think that's been told to certain people who've asked, and you can ask me that. Our staff is limited in what they can and can't do because of the bandwidth. I mean, we can only do so much at a time. These projects are huge and they take time and they take money. Right now, or I guess it was in November, October, our council came together and said, look, we can't do everything. Where are we going to focus? If we're going to take our staff time, where are we going to focus? And we said our priority is that char house. We want to preserve it. We want it redeveloped, and we want you to focus on getting that done the correct way. Second was Lake Point. And we know Lake Point is important to us because we're looking at a convention center. We're looking at additional revenue for our city. We're looking at additional housing, and that's important. But Lake Point is so complex because we have to do it right. And you know it includes a zoning product. And if we're changing zoning and zoning products, we can't just have one huge zoning product come in and change it. They tried, and we said, no, take it back. Take it back. That was too vague. That was too open. We didn't have enough public engagement, and we balked. We said, staff, we appreciate what you did, but you got to take it back and start over, because it just didn't have enough public input and it was going too fast. So they had to start over. And to be honest, all their time was spent on these two projects, and it still is. And they said, look, if we're going to spend our time on these two projects, we don't have time for another development the size of track 5. And we said, look, concentrate on the two. We'll put track 5 on hold, which means we'll still look at projects coming in, say this is what we can deal with at a good time at this time and make it a good product. So your answer is, when's it coming? When we get something going on these two, we can switch our focus onto track 5 and do something responsible. That's not to say there's not stuff in the hopper, but staff can't do it yet. And we're not going to do it till we can do it right.
Well, I appreciate that answer.
Yeah, I know you were talking about Imperial and that whole area, and there's two things that come up that people have brought up. One is the whole controversy about the number of apartments, and I think that there's a feeling that District 1 always seems to be the place that everyone wants to put apartments in large number of units. And the second thing is just the concern of retail shopping, the way we shop, the brick and mortar, lots of vacancies, shopping strip areas. Like, what's the concern about that, and what are some of the plans for that? So those two items have been brought up of interest for the race.
Good question. And I'm going to tell you, District 1, you asked earlier and I didn't answer you correctly or in complex enough answer, but District 1 is where it's happening. That's why this particular race is very important. This is where everything seems to be going on right now. All the redevelopment, all the changes. We're getting a new senior center, an animal shelter. This is all District 1. So I am very engaged with a lot of things going on right now, and you may not hear about them. You know, the GO bond that we do have is going to talk about the senior center that we're going to build. So that's just more stuff. But Imperial itself is its own. Even Lake Point are very, very different type of developments. And you know this, we're looking for something different in Sugar Land. So when you're saying apartments, I don't want 900 apartments there either. And I've been given a number, and I've told this to other people. I'm not going to hide behind it, because if you could listen to Dias when I voted to go forward with the studies, it was for the studies to see the feasibility of Imperial come into fruition. It wasn't to move forward with anything. It was just the feasibility, which we have to do. At that time, my constituents from, I mean, every area around there, Venetian, the Hill, Brookside, all the people who were being affected said no more than 660. That's the number that was in the development. Now, we all know there's outstanding apartment numbers in that number for that development. And I said it on Dias, and I'll say it here, 660 is a number. It's inclusive of Suba. And if we can't get there at 660 all together, it's not going to happen for me. And the developer does know that. I've made it clear that we have to find another way to get those apartments done, because we're not going to break 660 in the entire development, including Suba. So figure it out. And that's what my that's what my constituents said. I work for them. I'm their voice, and that's where we stop. So technically, if we're not there, you can kind of figure out where I stand. And you asked about retail. Well, I think what we're looking at, and Mark Toon is really good at this, and I know Don Jansen is looking at this, the kind of development we're putting in there can't be what you're used to. We need the type of retail that is so one-off that people are coming here to see it. I want to see a culinary school somewhere in one of those developments.
Awesome.
You know, I want something different that no one else has, a culinary school, an artist school, something different that's going to attract the people to stay here and go here and have an experience. And if you go to the Pearl, and I know many of you have, you'll see what I'm talking about. If we could bring those types of retail here so we can enjoy something different, something unique, something that people bring here and own. I was in San Antonio at our workshop, and there's a guy there, and William and I visited with him. He makes custom jackets, and the custom Hispanic shirts with all the lines in them. What are they called? I don't remember what they're called. They're just beautiful shirts. And we talked to him. I said, if we had a place here for you, would you come and be there? And he said, yeah, I'd love to be in Sugar Land, but I have to be in the right spot. So when we're talking, and this happens all the time. When I'm out of town, I find somebody who does something really cool. I go, would you consider coming to Sugar Land to sell your stuff? Those are the kind of retailers we're talking about. different type of people who want to invest in our city. And that totally supports small business. It does. But to do that, we have to have the right kind of development, and we have to have the right kind of developers back that, because they're not going to come here and get rich overnight. We have to have people coming out of the city to experience those kind of things. If you go to the Pearl, you don't go there to experience something you have here. You go there to do something different. And I say the Pearl, there's many other places you might go. I don't go far, but to experience something cool, different, unique. We can do it. It's going to take work. And that's what this council is committed for and to.
Well, I know I'm gonna let Sue close it out, but there's always that one question we always talk about, like, what is the one thing that you bring different to city council if you get reelected? What's the one thing that you make a difference by being right there? As an individual city council member, what difference do you make?
Or just one thing, just one.
Just one, but you can have more.
I don't know if it's one thing. I think it's the fact that I am probably one of you. I am one of my constituents. I'm authentic. I'm real. I work in the community. I own property, commercial property. I pay taxes. I'm a military mom. I have 5 kids. I am one of you. I didn't come from something or somewhere different. And it's always been like, I'm dressed in a t-shirt doing an interview, and I just apologize to you guys for that. But this is, I should have put makeup on. Listen, I'm one of you doing the job for you. I'm not here to, people are you going to run for mayor? Are you going to do this? And no, this is where I want to be. I don't have any ambition to do anything different or more. This is not a stepping stone for me. This is where I want to be, because this is what I love. What I bring is authentic, real me to the table. And that authentic, real person has had a lot of history. I've lived a lot of life, and you ladies know that. Understanding people. I love people, but I know people in a lot of ways because I've been through a lot of things, in my life. And I serve on boards and commissions. My husband serves on the homeless, Attack Poverty, not Attack Poverty, I'm sorry, Abigail's Place and Parks Youth Ranch. I serve, I'm the incoming president of Fort Bend Regional Council. We've had drug abuse in our family. I was homeless. So we know life, and we're here to represent and protect those people who know it as well. So what I bring to the table is just me, authentic me, which is you. Authentic you. I don't know how to say it.
That's good. That's good. Sue, you want to close us out?
Sure. Before I do close, though, I would just one last question is there anything that we have not brought up that you would like to say or talk about just real quickly to make sure it's out there?
Sue, I've been asked that. I've done so many of these, and people ask me that last question, and I started. Listen, this is kind of crazy. I've been to 2 Bible studies today because I started at one in the morning, and then my girls and I have been together for 20 years. But the one I went to this morning was really incredible. And a lot of people may know about this. When I first came into office, I just go, wow, this is crazy. There's a lot going on here, and nobody seems to be seeking a higher power. Nobody seems to be seeking any guidance. And it was just overwhelming to me that I was like frustrated. So together, JC Jatan and I, Brandon Maka, put together elected official Bible study. And we've been doing that since I've been elected, about 2.5 years, 2 years. And we meet on Monday mornings, and we invite everybody to come. It's the most beautiful thing because it's nonpartisan. And we were speaking this morning, and we talked about our time in office and said, hey, and I said, hey guys, realistically, this could be my last Bible study with you. If I don't get reelected, this is my last study with you. And it's crazy that I started this and I'm leaving it for you, but I may not be here. And we talked about how the reality is we don't do this for ourselves. We create legacies. We create things that give back to others, even if we're not here. So I think it's important I say that, I'm here now and I love where I'm at. And if I'm not in a month, we're going to do our best to support whoever is here because it's the people that matter. And they go, oh, well, how's that going to work? I go, well, it's going to work because we're all going to get together, whoever is on council, and we're going to help them, and we're going to do our best to make sure that they serve the way we would be serving if we could. And that needs to be said about our entire community.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. And we appreciate your time. I think this has been very beneficial to anyone who's watching. So before we close, I just want to say that Election Day for Sugar Land is primarily the District 1 race and Fort Bend ISD. So if you live in Sugar Land, you may not have a City of Sugar Land race, but you will have Fort Bend ISD. So it would be a really good idea for everyone to check out their ballot before they go to the ballot box so they can do their research. I'll get to that in a minute. Everyone should have the appraisal district election on their Fort Bend County ballot. So if you're in Fort Bend County, it'll be there. Some of you will have maybe mud and utility districts, water control districts. The cities of Fulshire, Rosenberg, and Stafford have city elections as well as Sugar Land. And then also Stafford Municipal School District and along with Fort Bend ISD. There's also Arcola and, I want to get it right, Wharton County Junior College. They have an election. So if you're within that jurisdiction, you may find that on your ballot. The election takes place on Saturday, May the 4th from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Early voting starts April 22nd and runs through April 30th. The hours will vary. And if you go to this website that I'm about to give you, you can look at not only your ballot, but you can look at the early voting and polling day locations. Fort Bend County has a wealth of information on this site. It's www.fortbendcountytx.gov. You should be able to find everything you want. If not, talk to somebody who's involved and they'll help you. Simply Google the candidates and the issues that you know appear on the ballot, and look for newspaper articles, websites, and a Facebook presence, because most candidates have, if they don't have a website, which I pray they do, they will have a Facebook page. So we hope you can find the information you're looking for. If not, let one of us know. Suzanne wouldn't mind answering questions, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for watching the interview, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Suzanne. I just want to remind, early voting starts April 22nd. So, and I believe, Suzanne, your ballot will be at any location or only the locations in District 1?
Nope, every location.
Okay, so once they know you're a District 1 voter, your ballot should pop up anywhere in Fort Bend County, actually, correct?
It will.
Yeah, all you need is your precinct
number
number.
in, it will.
Yeah.
All right, thank you all. Thank you for your time. Best
Thank you so
wishes
much.
to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne.